A mythical belief recorded as far back as 16th century in England said that there exists a great sea above the sky, navigated by flying vessels, completely invisible to the ones on the ground. A sea that covers the entire cosmos. While the notion was taken as a fabled tale by most places, there existed a village that thought it's real, that there exists a sea right above them, roaring and rumbling, and even raining as it pleased. The people of the village grew paranoid over time. They were scared even to walk outside. They feared waves will level them down at any point of time. They feared the sea might collapse and send monstrous waves to annihilate their land and life. Soon enough, they began to associate rain, hailstorm, and even wind as the symbols of their inevitable death by water. That fear, that kind of paranoia, it created anguish. Anguish led to anxiety. Anxiety created dread, and the dread turned the villagers into depression. An entire village of people depressed through their entire life, all because of a wayward tale. You might wonder, how can humans be this stupid, this moronic, this silly and senseless? And you might even convince yourself that I have never been this ignorant, that I will never be this stupid. Let me tell you, you have been similarly ignorant in many points of your life. And you will be this ignorant in coming days too. And that ignorance is called selective perception. Selective perception is when we just focus on a particular thing and immaculately ignore or minimize anything else, especially if it can question or quash our established belief in the first place. This lenience of our mind is more common than we expect. In fact, our mind is hardwired to inhale informations that best suit our pre-existing beliefs, attitudes, or expectations. It's in our nature to gravitate towards information that feels comfortable or familiar. In fact, selective perception could refashion our brains so much that we will begin to filter, interpret, and remember information the way we want. On a day-to-day basis, how we are paying attention to news sources that align with their political affiliations to reinforce our existing opinions are a best example of selective perception. Truth is, it's not your fault, at least not a conscious one, but it's the fault of your mind. And the issue is that this will hamper our judgments. We will seek out information that only supports our claim, and we will even ignore the existence of an opposing view. Down the road, we will begin to assume everything with our preconceived notions rather than the actual realities. That's selective perception for you. It blinds you, belittles your brain, brings you down, and it turns you benighted and bird-brained. Take the story as an example. The moment the villagers learned that their fate is sealed, they gave up, to a point where they didn't even felt the need to question anything about the story. They convinced themselves that the end was near, and despite how it made their life a living hell, they weren't ready to disbelieve their disoriented belief. Such instances are not merely confined to epic tales and mythical stories. This happens even in our most day-to-day lives. Take, for instance, the rivalry between the fans of Apple and Android. Their rivalry is closer to a gladiator battle the modern social media audience will ever get to witness. If you have any doubt, just post Apple is overrated, or Android is useless in X, and watch the world burn. Both these brands have been in business, providing innovations that are near impossible to envision otherwise. How foolish one has to be to just ignore everything the other has done. And this specific kind of ignorance is selective perception. Only way to tackle our mind to shield away this false perception and foolishness is by welcoming other worldviews. Surround yourself with people of opposing views. Respect the discourse rather than trying to silence it. Question your belief, re-question it again, and make your belief ironclad by making sure your belief is not a faint, feeble cry child that gets broken down in one criticism. And lastly, stop taking every single thing personally.